This footage is from the Chargers working out yesterday, and the thing that I was surprised to see wasn't Justin Herbert's beautiful hair. I mean, I expected to see that, but it was the offensive line combination that they had out there. And if I zoom in right here, you can see it's Rashawn, Slater, Zion Johnson, Bradley Bozeman, but then we have Trey Pipkins at the right guard spot and Jamaree Salyer playing right tackle. Now, a lot of fans were telling me they wanted to see Jamaree Salyer get a shot at tackle again because of how well he played when Rashawn Slater was injured 2 years ago, but could we actually see him start on this offensive line? And could we see Trey Pipkins at the guard spot next year? Let me give you the full breakdown on this, and I'll start by explaining why Jamaree Salyer was the right tackle yesterday. So first of all, the Chargers, they're very non-committal right now on where guys are going to play, and I think they're getting a head start on the possibility of having Trey Pipkins at right guard because they've been talking up Trey for a while now, and they're hoping that he can make that switch because, as Jim Harbaugh said,
we love Pipkins as a player. I think he's one of our 5 best right now, and that includes Joe Alt on our football team. And I would predict that there's a spot in the starting 5 for Trey Pipkins.
So that's why Trey Pipkins was the right guard. But why was Jamaree Salyer the right tackle then? Well, Joe Alt, he can't be out there because he has not signed that rookie contract. So he and all of the other rookies, they're unable to participate right now until they are signed to this team. If he were signed, I'm sure we would have seen an alternate offensive line out there with Joe Alt as the right tackle. And then that would push Jamaree Salyer to be the swing tackle behind both Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt. As much as we talk about the battle for this right guard spot, there's also a battle for that backup tackle spot. And those 2 spots might be won by both Jamaree Salyer and Trey Pipkins, kind of just based off who plays better at that right guard spot during training camp and the preseason. I would imagine that Jim Harbaugh wants to have Trey Pipkins out there starting at right guard over Jamaree Salyer just because of that athleticism that Trey Pipkins can provide you, but he has never played guard in his life, even going back to college at Sioux Falls. But Jim Harbaugh, man, he loves the tackles. Just listen to this.
All the guys, we start talking tackle. I mean, as I expressed in a lot of the meetings, I would play with 5 tackles, if we could. I mean, the big, long, athletic, strong guys. I mean, don't rule anything out.
So combine that with the fact that he's projecting Trey Pipkins already to be one of our best 5 offensive linemen, and the best 5 offensive linemen are going to be out there in some capacity at whatever position. I think it's pretty likely that we are going to see Trey Pipkins as the right guard, as long as he does not completely look lost at that position, which I don't really anticipate because I actually kind of have high hopes for him there because he was an average right tackle. Moving inside to guard kind of projects better to be a guard in my opinion, because on the outside he struggled with speed a lot, and then he really struggled when guys would convert speed to power. And also, one of the best things about Trey Pipkins is actually his footwork. So as a guard, you could pull him and run power with him as the lead blocker, and then on the other side you have Zion Johnson, who is also very athletic and can work well in space as a pulling guard. You would have 2 very athletic big guards at your disposal. So I do see the vision here with Trey Pipkins moving to guard, and as much as people love Jamaree Salyer, he was the lowest grade offensive lineman on the team last year, even behind Will Clapp, the center, and that's graded by PFF. Also, Jamaree Salyer, not really a great athlete like Trey Pipkins and Zion Johnson are, so you would much rather have those guys climb to the second level of the defense and get out in space looking for action rather than Jamaree Salyer. I think Jamaree is a great option as the backup offensive lineman, and whoever goes down due to injury or just gets benched because they're not playing well, you can insert him in, and he's not bad enough to the point where now wherever you slot him in, that spot is like a detriment to your offensive line. He can actually play at a pretty good, like an average level. Having a guy that you can just slot him in at any position outside of maybe the center position, and he'll give you just like good enough play, that's a very valuable piece to have as a backup offensive lineman. And then also you can throw him out there as the extra offensive lineman in jumbo sets. Even, throw him out there at fullback. Like, listen, Greg Roman and Jim Harbaugh, they both love running the ball with more than 5 offensive linemen in short yardage situations. He's going to get action on this team, even if he's not starting. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I would like to see if Jamaree Salyer can snap the ball. Like, he might do well as a center, and I know they're already planning on trying Jordan McFadden out there, but they both have positional versatility to play guard and tackle, so why not have them both practice at center and see if one of them can compete with Bradley Bozeman to start? Like, listen, Jamaree Salyer, he was the guy last year that was telling the center when to snap the ball. So he did have some sort of responsibility in terms of like the cadence pre-snap. So maybe that can translate well to him playing center. I don't know. I'd like to at least give it a shot. I mean, why not? Like Bradley Bozeman, he's not a great center. I've been pretty vocal about that, I think. And we have no competition in his way right now to get to that starting spot. And Joe Hortiz has said, like, they're always looking for competitors. I'd say give it a shot, and if neither Jordan McFadden or Jamaree Salyer can snap the ball, then at least we still have 2 backup offensive linemen that can play 4 out of the 5 positions. Towards the end of the season last year, I was actually wanting to see if Jordan McFadden could play center, and just think about the athleticism that you would have among the interior of your offensive line if you have Jordan McFadden at center, Zion Johnson and Trey Pipkins as your guards. Like, I think that might be the best case scenario for this offensive line if Jordan McFadden can prove himself as a starting caliber center, because he's 6'2", 305 pounds. Like, that's not great size, right? But he's certainly not going to have any leverage issues like Bradley Bozeman would at 6'5", and then Jamaree Salyer would at 6'4". And on top of that, if we look at the measurables, it starts to add up even more, because Joe Hortiz drafted an undersized center that has a lot of similarities to Jordan McFadden. Tyler Linderbaum has almost identical size, has the same bench, and very similar speed to Jordan McFadden. Now, he does have much better explosive rating, but Bradley Bozeman's RES is actually much worse than those 2 guys. And Jordan McFadden has better arm length than Bradley Bozeman, even though he's given up 3 inches in height, and has more arm length than Tyler Linderbaum as well. And when Jim Harbaugh was saying why he likes tackles so much, one of the things that he said was the length. No, I think we could be onto something here. Even though like the athleticism and the arm length, it's not everything, and it is all going to depend on how they play in training camp. I bet that Jordan McFadden is going to have every opportunity to go out and win that job as long as he proves that he can snap the ball, because that is something that is, you know, very real. Not a lot of guys can snap the ball at an NFL level. But Jordan McFadden, man, he's 24 years old, very athletic, great arm length, and has a very high ceiling in a Greg Roman offense that Bradley Bozeman doesn't, just because of the intangibles. After that clip of Trey Pipkins at right guard yesterday, it tells me that this team is really committed to moving him there and hoping that it works out. So I would imagine the starting 5 as of right now, before training camp and all the competition, it's probably going to be Rashawn Slater, Zion Johnson, Bradley Bozeman, I think, honestly, Trey Pipkins, and then Joe Alt, with Jamaree Salyer as being the primary backup, everything except center, and then Jordan McFadden probably as the backup center. I also wouldn't be surprised to see Jordan McFadden start at center, but I think it might be tough for him to outplay a veteran while trying to make that transition for the first time in his entire career. Because remember, Jordan McFadden was a tackle at Clemson, a guard for us last year. And now he's going to try to move all the way from tackle to center in just a matter of like 2 years. You know, that's a lot of responsibility to take on in terms of protections and calling defenders out, not to mention just like snapping the ball. That can be tricky. I mean, this guy's a lineman. He's probably not used to having the ball in his hands a ton. That's not. But if you did not see my video yesterday, I talked more about the defensive line and broke down a couple plays from this Jesse Minter defense.